The voice of Husker Nation is on the air. This is Hail Varsity Radio. Insight, opinion, expertise, along with the biggest names talking Nebraska sports. Join in with the show at 402-489-1240 or 1-800-825-5865. Now, here are your hosts, Chris Schmidt and Elijah Herbal.
Welcome to it, Hail Varsity Radio on the road. It is game day as Nebraska-Minnesota set to touch gloves. We are just a stone's throw away here from Gopher Stadium. Chris Schmidt, Elijah Herbal, let's get it rolling as Nebraska embarks in the season opener here, 2023. And PJ Fleck and his oars and his boat, man, they're there. Will there be a hole in the boat by 10:30 tonight for the Real Red Reaction postgame, or will it be another missed opportunity for Nebraska in a tight ball game? Who knows? That's kind of where a lot of Nebraska fans are at, as we bumped into so many awesome listeners here to Hail Varsity Radio here at the Graduate in Minneapolis. What's going to happen? Who knows? You can think, you can predict, you can wait, you can see, but it is something that is on the minds of most, what Nebraska looks like and is tonight, and we'll dive into it. 489-1240, 489-1240, the number to get into the show today, 800-825-5865, wherever you hear us across the Hail Varsity Radio Network, and can email the show, chris@hailvarsity.com. One easy way to interact with us is the Hail Varsity YouTube channel. Check that out, or the Hail Varsity Radio Twitter feed at HVarsity Radio. Elijah, I wore sleeves so I could kind of roll them up because it's going to be that type of ball game. It's funny. I ran into three really awesome listeners in the workout facility. Before you scoff and laugh, I did get a workout in, some lifting, not light lifting either, and also some cardio. And as three Husker fans, two on the treadmill, one benching, is everyone's doing their workout, and I'm kind of limbering up. One of the Husker fans says, "Dude, it smells like beer in here." That wasn't me, but you had a trio of Husker fans sweating out the toxins about 9:45 today because they're on vacay, coming all the way up to see their beloved Huskers. And we all had a good chuckle with that, sweating out the toxins. Nebraska's been needing to do that for years in close ball games.
That they have, Schmitty, that they have. That's a good comparison, but it's a new day. And I tell you what, after volleyball day last night, which I do want to spend a second on.
We will.
I know everyone's juiced up about the Nebraska game tonight, but let's not forget what last night was for the Husker volleyball program, the national implications of what last night was. That was huge. I think it proved to a lot of people in this country what not just volleyball can be, but what women's sports can be moving forward. That was a phenomenal event, and one that I'm sure that not many people in that stadium will ever forget, with just how juiced up Memorial Stadium was, and the phenomenal just presentation and entire event that was. That had me juiced up. And does it not feel a little bit, Schmitty, like it's a new day in Husker Nation from volleyball day yesterday, Matt Rule being the coach? I mean, something about today just feels a little bit different. I hope that doesn't come back to bite me saying that on the air. Something feels a little different, though.
It does. It feels, well, prepared for. It feels planned.
Optimistic for the first time in a couple of years?
No, you can feel optimistic, even though Nebraska right now is cautious. Nebraska fans are cautious just because they know that it is game one with a lot of new. And there's a lot of new on Minnesota as well. The difference is the new is more of a plug and play versus new to the program. And Matt Rule's new to Nebraska, but he's been in these situations before. He's been in openers before. He's been in tight spots before. And I think his calmness and Nebraska's game plan will will put these guys in position to compete for a win tonight. So let's get into it. We'll hit some over-unders. Let's get you the lineups. As on the show today, we'll spend time with Brandon Vogel. He'll join us here in about 15 minutes. Jay Moore will check in, and we'll get Jay Moore's take on tonight's game. Gary Barnett has a thought on Nebraska v. Minnesota. And then the infamous, the imaginary, he wears red and he's make-believe. Clauseborne will be in with a forecast for us, Nebraska-Minnesota. As it sits right now, the line -7, Nebraska underdogged, and the over-under at 43.5. I think most people believe it's going to be a close ball game, a one-score ball game. The thing that is going to be just imperative for Nebraska, and it isn't even that fast start that Coach Rule was asked about, Elijah. It's going to be about handling adversity. And I truly believe Coach Rule from moment one has really tried to drill into this football team that it is not going to be pretty. It's not going to be perfect. It's going to be flat out messy. He used the word messy this week. How do you handle the mess? And can Nebraska withstand that, survive that, overcome it? Can they just kind of work through it, move on to what's next? What is next? That's been a big talking point. And they'll have a chance to see how they are early in this season. Now, as the season goes on, they'll get better, we think, and be able to adapt to those situations. But are they ready right now out of the gate to handle a major uppercut that's Minnesota on the road?
Schmitty, I'm with you there. You're going to get punched in the mouth. And I think one of the keys to being able to handle that adversity is to really understand, and there's been weeks of preparation from this team, to really understand what your opponent is. And by that, I think what I'm trying to say is you got to think like a gopher.
Who is the gopher's ally? His friend. The harmless squirrel and the friendly rabbit. I'm going to use you two guys to do my dirty work for me.
Yeah, the old plastic explosive trick. Thank you, Bill Murray. Cutter chimes in. The real question of the day is between last night and if the Huskers win tonight, how many folks are calling in sick to work tomorrow? Personal time off requests incoming to managers. Well, I hope you're tight with your manager. I think half of Nebraska's up here. They went from volleyball straight onto the old red eye in the morning to get up to Minnesota, or at least got in the family truckster and started navigating, because there is so much red here. Gentleman here in the sweet-looking red and white striped overalls. He's wearing the visor with the red dyed kind of sideshow bob top. You know, the prop you can get with the visor and the hair on it. He's all decked out. He's ready to go. But there's a little gold and a lot of red here in the lobby here at the Graduate. Shout out to our friends at Sauter Heyman. Shout out to our friends at Lazari's Pizza for helping power this road show. The monkey is working tonight. Junior is slinging pie during the football game. So if you need some spicy chicken, just saying, tell Junior to get off his and make you a pizza. Okay, so. Cutter, I don't know how many folks are calling in sick, but there'll be a collective love/hug fest if they get it done tonight. Elijah, this thing's going to be barbaric, and that's okay. It's going to be tough. It's going to be physical. It's going to be about turnovers. It's going to be about field position. It's going to be a boring Big Ten game if you want high-flying shootouts. That ain't it tonight. That's okay. I think Nebraska and Nebraska fans are ready for a dose of not even normal or boring, but they're just ready for a dose of a slugfest. Yeah. And that's what tonight's about. It's about running the ball and stopping the run. And it's what you loved. And it's what Nebraska did so well for forever. Can they get back to it this early in the Matt Rule era?
Yeah, it's as you said, a slugfest, a fist fight. Who's going to be able to get up off the mat once you get punched, or who's going to be able to avoid going to the mat in the first place after you get punched? That's what Big Ten football is. And I think a lot of people, now that we've seen a couple years of some teams opening up their conference slate in week 1 or week 0, you know that it's going to be ugly. That's how football games are early in the season. I don't think we really appreciated it whenever you're playing the Georgia Southerns of the world. And I know I say that a little bit tongue in cheek based on what happened last season, but you're not getting those warm-up games anymore. This is going to be Big Ten football boiled down to its finest. I think we're going to see punts. I think we're going to see field position battles. I think we're going to see ugliness. That's kind of what makes the Big Ten beautiful. But above all, we're going to see physicality tonight. And the question for Nebraska is what are they able to do under 9 months of Matt Rhule? Are you able to instill that culture in your team just yet? Because I truly believe Nebraska has the talent to match up with Minnesota. I think Scott Frost brought in some talent. The development's another question, but there was talent for Matt Rhule to work with. He brought in some of his guys as well to come in and supplement that talent. I don't think this is a bad football team. The question to me is how much of Matt Rhule's mentality was he able to instill in his first 9 months on the job? Because PJ Fleck has had 7 years to install his mentality, and love it or hate it, PJ Fleck's mentality has found success despite all the clapping whenever he enters team meetings and all the weirdness and feeling a lead all the time. Love it or hate it, PJ Fleck has instilled his culture within that Minnesota Golden Gophers football team. Culture is huge in the Big Ten. Has Matt Rhule been able to instill his culture in 9 months to a point where you can at least go toe-to-toe with the Gophers? I'm not saying you have to be ahead of where the Gophers are at now, but Matt Rhule's laid it out a couple times. Are you able to have a ball game in the fourth quarter, and can your cream rise to the top whenever the game becomes or reaches the highest pressure moments? Or is your cream able to rise to the top in a close ball game? That's going to be the question. All Nebraska has to do to be able to make this a close game in the fourth quarter is withstand the fist fight. Go toe-to-toe with Minnesota and their physicality. If you can get it to the fourth, it's a 1-score game. Nebraska's got a chance. That's going to be a huge key. Matt Rhule said, I don't care about starting fast. It's about how you finish. Well, if you want to finish strong, you have to be within striking distance in that fourth quarter. And if Nebraska can be within striking distance, that's the chance to prove that you have been able to instill your culture over the course of 9 months and really flip the script from what the past 4 or 5 years have been.
Brennan says, we made it, fellas. It is game day. Manifest destiny. 1-0 Nebraska on 8/31. Nebraska's had that rallying cry, 8/31 for a few weeks here. How about
Austin off the top rope first?
Yeah, it was pretty good. Austin, tonight's about establishing a 1 or 2 score lead and really putting the nail in the coffin with an onside kick. Austin, thank you for that. That is well placed, unlike an onside kick a year ago. And I could not disagree more with you, Austin, that tonight is not about when you pull the trigger on that dreaded onside kick. You have Herdizzle chime it in. Go Big Red. How about that volleyball game? It was amazing. Absolutely it was. Omaha and Fremont, Go Big Red from Kansas City. Thank you for listening. And you know what? We are here all night long, man. Cue up Lionel Richie because we've got the show here till 6. Excited about that. We will have post-game Real Red Reaction. We want you to check that out, chime in on that. And we'll be able to take your thoughts and calls with Real Red Reaction locally on KFOR. So we'll bring you that post-game and see how Nebraska fares, right? It's going to be all about composure tonight. And is Nebraska able to adopt what Matt Rhule is in this short 9-month window? Not even 9 months for Matt Rhule, but 9 months since they last played a ball game. 489-1240 is the number to get in, 800-825-5865. We'll get Jay Moore's take. And listen, let me ask you this. As a Nebraska fan, how much of tonight is really about just playing well? I mean, are you back to that point as a Nebraska fan? Is the win just a bonus for you tonight? And I you know how weird I feel saying that, asking that question. But really, because you've got your Nebraska fans that you've hurt for the last few years, and I get it. And it's a big picture discussion, right, with Matt Rhule. It's the topic of Rome not being built in a day, but man, you can burn Rome down quickly. And yeah, so you win tonight. It's a bonus. It's an over deliver. It's icing. It's ice cream. It's a triple instead of a double shot of vodka tonic.
And Schmidt, I'm going to disagree with you just slightly here because
disagree away, my friend.
Something I said when Matt Rule was hired, if you go way back and check out a reaction to Matt Rule being hired, it's a fantastic Saturday morning show for us. It's okay to be a Husker fan and have expectations with the amount of resources that you, the fan, pump into this program, with the amount of eyeballs that you put on this program. It's okay for you to have expectations as a Husker fan. Now, it's also important to understand those expectations need to be in check. But if your expectation is, you know what, with the amount of talent Nebraska has in this program, with the amount of money we're paying Matt Rule every single year, as I say that from a fan's point of view, it's you paying the bills of Matt Rule. It's okay for you to have expectations in week one, despite the fact that it's only been 9 months. And I understand Rome wasn't built in a day, but fan is short for fanatic. It's okay for you to be a fanatic and have some expectations and say, hey, anything short of a win is a loss, because I know Matt Rule is preaching that same thing to his team. He's not preaching moral victories going into this. He's not saying, hey,
no,
guys,
absolutely not.
If you keep it close, it's a win. He's preaching to the team, a win is a win and a loss is an absolute failure. And if you feel that same way as a Husker fan, that's your right to. I think there are some silver linings that can be taken away in a loss, but I don't think that you can call a loss a victory just based on how it looks.
You know what, and it's a living thing. It's different because you can rebound from whatever happens tonight in a positive way. You can springboard you, or you can learn from it and take it with you to Boulder. Are you realistic here about your expectations? We'll check in with Brandon Vogel on the way.
When we launched Hail Varsity Club, we merged the digital world of sports media with the physical space for fans. With the addition of Hurrdat Sports to our family, we've broadened our reach, bringing fresh, modern storytelling to Nebraska high school, college, and professional sports. As we continue to grow, we're taking the next step.
Welcome to the Hurrdat Sports Bar and Grill. We're keeping everything you loved about Hail Varsity Club and adding even more. We're thrilled to invite you to the grand opening of Hurrdat Sports Bar and Grill on August 28th. Hurrdat Sports Bar and Grill, where the game is always on.
I'm riding my bike through this enormous manufacturing plant to see what it feels like to be in a factory.
Todd Spidell, body shop owner, terrible driver.
Hey, stay outside the yellow lines.
Yeah, I know. It's okay. I'm a professional rider. You know, this place has a lot different feel than Spidell Body Works. I guess it's because Spidell's is a local family-owned business, and we still treat every customer like we really appreciate their business. Whoa! Didn't see that welder there. Sorry.
Hey, what's he doing? Stop. You can't go in there.
We keep every customer updated through phone calls or email or even text messages.
Stop.
Oh, yeah. And we don't yell at our customers. Whoa!
What's your ID number?
Oh, and one more thing. We call our customers by name, not a number. Oh, well, back to Spidell's.
Accidents happen, even to good drivers. If it happens to you, call Spidell Body Works and let us take the ball from claim to completion. We won't try to sell you a car, change your oil, or paint your car for $2.99. Spidell Body Works is your best decision after a collision. Visit us at SpidellBodyWorks.com.
The athletic sale everybody has been asking for is going on now at Brown Shoe Fit. Get $15 off all regular priced athletic shoes. From back to school shoes to your daily running shoes, Brown Shoe Fit has you covered for all your comfort needs. Enjoy brands like Brooks, New Balance, On Clouds, and Hoka, all $15 off, now through the end of September. Some exclusions may apply. See store for details. Brown Shoe Fit Lincoln, 66 and Q.
Listen to this station anytime, anywhere on Odyssey. Odyssey is your new audio home for all the music, news, sports, and podcasts that matter to you. Odyssey. That's AUDACY.
At first, I was really nervous and intimidated to buy a ring. I wasn't sure what I was getting into.
My experience at Starter Heyman was very easy. I felt like I walked out of Starter Heyman with the ring that was going to make her go wow and say yes.
I love my ring. It is so beautiful. I absolutely love my ring. I get compliments on it all the time. I always tell them Starter Heyman. Yeah, we would definitely recommend Starter Heyman.
Yeah, it was great.
We're definitely coming back.
Sure.
In Lincoln and Grand Island or online at starterheyman.com.
Super Saver has everything you need for tailgate season at home or away.
Hail Varsity Radio is live. Now, back to Schmitty.
Schmitty's a great guy, but you don't have a brain.
And Elijah.
You want me to speak? When I point you, yeah.
On Hail Varsity Radio.
Nice to meet Rocky. He just popped by to say what's up. Was in the can. Dan says 26-24. Elvano for the win in Gopherland. 489-1240. We'll check in with Brandon Vogel here in a minute, get his take on things as Vogue's doing awesome work. And Mr. Rick is out on his I gotta check out Rick's kitchen, because this dude's got a flat screen built into the wall with money black backsplash surrounding it. One time my brother did backsplash, bless his heart, and it was incredible. I asked if I could help, and he said, you'll do more harm than good. 489-1240, 489-1240. Mike Corrigan has checked in on the StreamYard. The nickname that we're going to say Kranak give the polar bear. So I guess Hutmacher has two nicknames. One you can read on the screen, I will not say on the air, and the other is, we just got to stick with polar bear, don't we? Is that family acceptable? Elijah?
I think we can stick with it. I understand Mark's position on this. And if you listen to the Saturday morning show, you'd know what that nickname is. I mean, and he does bring up a great point that whenever you say that, and I don't think there's any problem with saying nut smasher.
Elijah Herbal, everybody.
I mean, we can say nutcracker around Christmas time. What's the difference between nutcracker and nut smasher, really?
Intent. One's a dancer, the other's the old fashioned, but the other is something that threats happen that way. Be sure to check out Brandon Vogel. Follow him on Twitter at Brandon L. Vogel, and subscribe to the Counter Read. Him and Aaron Sorensen do an amazing job. A lot of red has just rolled in to the lobby. Folks are hurting for beer. I think they're thirsty. And we say hi to Brandon Vogel in his football office. Vogues, it is game day, brother. How you doing?
I'm doing well. We made it. I kind of like. I wouldn't want it every Thursday, but I kind of like this Thursday night opener. I think it's intriguing. I mean, the game itself is intriguing, but playing on Thursday, having a little bit of center stage to yourself. I know there are other games, and as somebody who likes to watch a lot of games, having the freedom to do that on Saturday also makes me happy. So.
Yeah, it's good. Now, listen, I'm not going to lie to you. Like the first experience I had with Thursday night football was in high school, and it was T.O. going for his 200th career win. And Baron Miles put on his Superman cape. They're down 13-0 to some garbage Oklahoma State team. There's no motivation. There's no juice for Nebraska, and then Baron Miles blocks a punt, snakes it in the end zone. This is the 93, is that right? 93 season, and Nebraska goes on to roll, fourth quarter team, 27-13. That blocked punt explodes things. The other Thursday night game was the destruction of Oklahoma State with 1995. Now, side note, bachelor party. I do remember this part of it. Nebraska went down to Southern Miss and donkey punched Ole Miss or Southern Miss rather heavily in a blowout. But Thursday nights can get dicey. Let's just hope it's that way for the Gophers if you're a Nebraska fan. Folks, have you been able to put your finger on what the heck happens tonight, or are you just going to grab the popcorn and wait and see with the rest of us?
No, I don't think I've been able to. I've done my best, but I don't think I feel like I've got the pulse of this game. Minnesota. Minnesota. Has a good amount to replace and some key players. I think they're pretty dangerous on the outside offensively. Like they've got a good group of receivers for a long time. Well, I guess at least the past 2 years for sure. They've been about the run heaviest team in the country that doesn't run the option.
70%.
Are they going to be that? Yeah, are they going to be that way now, without a Mo Ibrahim? We'll see. But that run game really set up what was a pretty big play passing game. So it's interesting for them offensively. And then their heavier losses are on defense. Nebraska, new staff, new team, new scheme, plenty of question marks on that side.
Brendan, whenever I look at this, my opinion has changed just slightly over the past week or so as Minnesota's kind of found what they're going to be through fall camp. And I've been listening to some Minnesota podcasts. I've been listening to Joe Klatt and his preview. He's been doing a lot of preparation, and both Joe Klatt and the Minnesota faithful don't seem to have a lot of confidence in what the offensive line and the defensive line can be this year. And that's mostly because we haven't seen a lot of these guys. A lot of them have been sitting, waiting, biding their time in the program, but the Minnesota faithful don't seem to have a lot of confidence in those two units. And Joe Klatt says from his preparation, his conversations, he thinks Minnesota might be throwing the ball around a little bit more this year. Instead of focusing on that downhill rushing attack, it might be a rushing attack mixed with some short rhythm passing attack. And that feels so different from what I'm used to from Minnesota based on what Fleck has done in his 6 years there now. And I want to get your thoughts on how you think Minnesota is going to attack this Husker team, because the closer we get, the more I'm starting to think it might not be what we think of Minnesota when you think back to the past 4 or 5 seasons.
Yeah, I think you could be right there. Like I mentioned off the top, like pretty intriguing group of receivers. I know Brevin Spann-Ford, is a future NFL tight end that you got to worry about as well. And some of those Fleck Western Michigan teams were what I would describe as kind of pass first teams. So it's not totally outside of the realm. It's just different from what Minnesota has been recently under him. So I could see it. The O-line piece of it is intriguing. I mentioned it in the game preview that I wrote this week. Not only did they lose 3 starters up front, but 3 all Big Ten guys, and I think 3 guys who all ended up on NFL rosters. I'm not sure if all of them were drafted off the top of my head. So I mean that all rings pretty true to what I've been able to see of Minnesota. Just kind of looking at their profile, questions on the lines, good receiver group. Returning quarterback, which is an advantage not a lot of Big Ten teams have. Well, part-time starter returning at least, which is still not an advantage a lot of Big Ten teams have.
Brandon Vogel's with us. The counter read is where you can read Brandon Vogel at Brandon L. Vogel on Twitter. So, Vogues, you have confidence that Nebraska can seize the moment. What I mean by that is Nebraska's had opportunities in their last 5 losses to Minnesota. Well, 4. 2019 was just grab a firearm and run a bullet. I mean, 2019 was no good. But the games after that, though, right? The COVID game, 2020, Nebraska's right there to have it. And here comes PJ with 30 guys that aren't sick. They win. 2021, the electronic fence at the goal line as you're trying to take the lead after being down 2 scores. And then even last year, you go up 10-0. All you need is one more scoring possession to make that 13-16. And that's a 3-score game, and Minnesota's game plan with the Greek Freak has to go out the window because you knocked Captain Morgan out. Nebraska could not seize the moment and deliver a knockout punch against Minnesota. I don't know if it happens tonight, but do you think that changes under Rule, where Nebraska can actually grab momentum, flip it, or keep it in these type of ball games, these slugfests?
Yeah, I don't know how confident I am in like them being able to do that tonight in a couple of hours, first game out. But I do feel a greater confidence in them being in that position as we continue on. I've been really impressed with this coaching staff. Just from the outside, but I think they're about teaching the right things, which seems like a foregone conclusion for these guys who make $5, $6, $7, $8 million a year, but it's not. And the way that they kind of preach their approach to this, I think is what makes the difference, is what makes that feel likely eventually for me. And we'll see. This is a game that will probably be that. I think it's going to be a close quarters game. It's going to be ugly in a way that like all week 1 games are, but I think styles here contribute to that a little bit, and it's probably going to be close. Most of the past Nebraska-Minnesota games, Flex 5-1 against Nebraska. Almost all of them, except for 1, I think, if I'm remembering correctly, was a close game of those wins for Minnesota. That 10-point deficit last year was the largest comeback at Minnesota since 2014. To your point of them not being built to kind of do that. I mean, 10 points, like, sure, it's 2 scores, but it's not even 2 touchdowns.
It's Brandon Vogel with us here on Hail Varsity Radio. And Vogues, if tonight is not a win for Nebraska, can this still be a victory for the program as a whole? I know Matt Rule's not going to preach that to his team, but from a fan base point of view and from where this program has been, can something that is not a win tonight, with the only option's a loss, can that still be a win for this program in its rebuilding process?
I think so. In a lot of ways, I'm maybe the worst person to ask this because I kind of firmly believe that for a number of years now. I've beaten into the ground that football seasons to me are like novels, and every game's a chapter, and we treat one as the story on its own every time because you've got a week to go until the next one, right? But really, so a win for me for Nebraska here would be, do you come out of this game feeling optimistic about the next one? Because I really do make an effort to look at this as like there's 12 games. The only objective is to win them. The only way you can get where you want is to win every chapter, if we're going to use that analogy. But it's just not always the case. So I'm kind of predisposed to the notion that, hey, let's see what we can learn tonight, and we'll move on to Colorado when it's time to move on to Colorado.
Vogues, I'm going to put you on the spot before we say goodbye. Do you have a prediction or at least a lean for our wagering friends out there?
I mean, on the wagering side, if you could get Nebraska up to that 7.5, which it's been bouncing around between 7 and 7.5, that's a big half point. And as we know from previous shows, Elijah has espoused Matt Rule's stunning record as an away underdog. So that's good. And I think if you can get it to 43 or above that, certainly it feels like the under. In terms of a score prediction, how about 2017 Nebraska game-winning field goal by Tristan Alvano, set up Schmitty by a block punt by Baron Miles Jr.
Look at you. Bring it full circle. Vogues, we love you. Thanks for the time.
Thanks, guys.
Hi, this is Michael Dixon, voice of the Lincoln Soft Dogs. Join me for the play-by-play action this season on KFOR FM 101.5, 1240 AM, and online at KFORnow.com.
Whether you own a local business or a global one, you know that these days, generating growth is a challenge. By teaming with Bank of America, you'll not just stay ahead of the curve, you'll move it. With access to experts, award-winning insights, and business solutions so powerful, you'll make every move matter, locally and globally. Visit bankofamerica.com/banking for business to learn more. What would you like the power to do? Copyright 2023 Bank of America, N.A.
We all hear the radio ads about the IRS. They tell you to be afraid, to be scared, and they try to frighten you into calling. I'm not here to do that. Tax Relief Advocates is different. TRA is here to tell you that if you owe money to the IRS, whether it's $5,000, $50,000, or $500,000, we have a solution. It doesn't matter if you're sitting in your car, at work, or with your kids. No matter where you are, call now. 800-583-2668. Don't lose hope. TRA can eliminate or reduce what you owe to the IRS. There is zero risk to you. If we can't reduce your tax debt, then you pay nothing. Our passion is taxes and helping individuals fix their IRS problems. We have a 5-star rating on Google and Yelp and an A+ with the Better Business Bureau. You don't need to be afraid of the IRS any longer. End your tax nightmare today by visiting us online at TRA.com or call 800-583-2668. 800-583-2668. Tax Relief Advocates. Real solutions for real people.
Hi, this is Jason Ball, president of the Lincoln Chamber of Commerce. Last weekend, Lincoln set new records with community-wide events that brought visitors and thrilled locals. The whole city could not miss the Guardians of Freedom Air Show featuring the U.S. Navy Blue Angels. This show is the largest in Lincoln's history with more than 300,000 in attendance at Lincoln's Air Park. The Lincoln Chamber, in partnership with the Nebraska Military Department, 55th Wing at Offutt Air Force Base, Lincoln Airport Authority, and City of Lincoln work together to make it happen. And That same week, cyclists and runners from across the nation came to Lincoln to compete in the annual Gravel Worlds races or attend major shows like Zach Bryan at PBA or the Black Keys at Pinewood Bowl. Visitors ate at Lincoln restaurants, shopped in our stores, and stayed in hotels and grew this economy. And Volleyball Day in Nebraska is the perfect capstone to this unprecedented August of entertainment. It takes an incredible community effort to pull it all off, including the help of hundreds of volunteers. Thanks, and have a great week.
Start your day with KFOR Morning News. We'll be wiping the sleep out of our eyes as we highlight the kickoff to the Husker football season.
All-State, 2-year starter, and rush in for the Big Red and NFL vet.
Is Dudeness or Duder or, El Duderino if you're not into the whole brevity thing.
It's Blackshirt Jay Moore with Hail Varsity Radio.
Back into it. It's Hail Varsity Radio Roadshow here. Nebraska-Minnesota awaits. Kickoff at 7. We're here at the Graduate. Again, big thanks to Sauter Heyman and our friends at Lazari's. Blackshirt Husker NFLer Jay Moore, the Eagle Man. As you dropped in Jay Moore with us. You dropped in an Eagle bomb shot earlier in the week. First, congratulations on that, man.
Yeah, thank you. It was fun. The golf season for me this year has been a little rough, just with injuries, and I just haven't played very well. And that was just kind of that's what golf does. It keeps you coming back, because I wasn't too high on the game of golf. But then I go out there and it's the USGA 4-ball qualifier. So I have a partner, one of my best buddies, Dave Easley. But we just got it going, made some putts early on the day, and shot 9 under and went to a playoff. And first hole of the playoff, it's a reachable par 5, and I knock it on. Another guy from the other team that we're playing to qualify against knocks it on, and I go first, and I bury a 40-foot eagle putt that was down a slope and just went in the hole perfectly. And not too much celebration went on, because I knew he still had a chance to tie us, and he damn near made it. So Dave and I are headed to Philly Cricket Club and towards the end of May of next year to play in the USGA 4-ball event.
Now, Jay,
awesome.
What's the bigger accomplishment for you this week? Is it that qualifying, or is it getting moved from the Monday show all the way up to the pregame Thursday show? What's the bigger honor?
Well, if we didn't have to go to the playoff, I was going to do your guys' show on Monday. So we had to go to the playoffs. So I'd say that's the bigger the accomplishment. I'm sorry.
Fair enough.
Find Jay on Twitter at JMore44, and Jay, of course, with Big Red Wrap Up. Jay, you said something key there. You want to keep coming back, and we have all had those golf outings where we want to quit or we want to play another 18. Nebraska football openers has made it hard for some of the fans to want the season to keep going. And we're talking even just after one game. So I'm interested to get your take, Bud, on tonight's magnitude. What could and what does tonight mean for you, a former Husker, and it's also game 1 of the rule era.
Right. You know what? It's weird because I'm excited, but I'm also just kind of it's total wait and see mode for me, and I don't want to get too high. And I think majority of the fan base doesn't want to get too high, because we've been on cloud 9 essentially going into the first game with Scott Frost, and we've been obviously vastly disappointed. So I'm excited to see it. I'm excited to see the 11 guys or 22 guys that are going to start on the field, offense or defense, and just see how they handle it, because there's going to be some times where it's not going our way, and I'm excited to see how they're going to handle this adversity with this new staff. I'm excited to see how the new staff's going to handle adversity, especially going on to play a Big Ten opponent on the road on a Thursday night. It's not normal to do that. So it's going to be really cool to finally see it, and I can't believe it's already here. And I'm excited to see what this product's going to look like and see what Minnesota's going to look like. I think there's still a lot of unknowns. We picture Minnesota, since PJ's been there, for run the ball, control the line of scrimmage, own the time possession, limit turnovers and bad mistakes. But they might throw it around this year. I think it's going to be a little different. Than they don't have Ibrahim back there, so I think I'm excited to see what they look like. Are they going to have an identity crisis, early on in the year, because their best players are at wide receiver, and the quarterback is mobile but can throw it as well. So it's gonna be fun to see the whole cat and mouse, especially early in the first half, where both teams are feeling each other out and mistakes are being made. And I think once the second half gets here, everyone's going to settle in and there'll be some good football.
Jay Moore is with us here, Hail Varsity Radio. And Jay, in your opinion, can anything less than victory be considered a successful night for Nebraska tonight?
Yeah, totally. I don't think Nebraska. I mean, on Big Red Wrap-Up, I said Minnesota wins 27-23. I don't think Nebraska wins. I don't know who Nebraska is, and at least Minnesota has some understanding who they are, and they have some familiarity with winning. With Nebraska, like I said, winning's a habit, losing's a habit, and we've had losing habits. Minnesota has won way more football games than the University of Nebraska in the last 3 years, so they know how to win, and they know how to do it. That staff. It might look different, but when the crap hits the fan, they can kind of fall back on who they are. I don't know who Nebraska is, and I don't know if Matt Rule knows who they are yet. I don't know if the players know who they are yet. So I'm a little hesitant to fully commit to them winning. Do I think they can win? Yes. I just don't think it's going to happen. I think it's going to be close. I think Minnesota pulls out. They're just going to seal the deal late in the game. It's a late cover by Nebraska, but unfortunately, it's just not going to be enough to win the game. I don't think it's a fail. I do not think it's a fail. Minnesota's a good football program. PJ Fleck's a good coach. I know they had some adversity here in the offseason just with culture issues, but those have been quieted down. They're going to be a good football team this year. They're going to play in a bowl game, and we haven't. We haven't played in one in the last 6 years. So if we don't win, I don't think it's. Listen, we can beat Colorado, we can beat Northern Illinois, we can beat Louisiana Tech, and there's still a lot of games to play for. And first game of the year in this situation, I just think it's going to be a little too much for these guys. But like I said, it's not end of the world if we lose this football game.
Jay Moore is with us, Hail Varsity Radio Road Show here at the Graduate, right across from Gopher Stadium. And Jay, of course, with Big Red Wrap-Up at JMoore44 on Twitter. Jay, I kind of get that sense where it is like, a bonus if Nebraska, by the way, goes out and wins on top of playing well enough to be competitive in the game. I want to get your take on just a couple minutes here. Who are you excited to see? I mean, who are you excited to see, and what are you excited to see about Nebraska? Is it more so just their response to things? I'm
excited to see the defense play. I think the defense is going to be really good this year. I'm not too concerned with the new 3-3-5 scheme. I think our guys that we have fit this mold very, very well. I think our guys in the back end are going to fit this scheme very, 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 very well. I think Isaac Gifford's going to flourish in this defense. I think Luke Reimers is going to flourish in this defense. I think Ty Robinson is going to flourish in this defense. I think you're going to see a lot of newcomers play that are as freshmen or redshirt freshmen that are going to stand out in this defense. I'm just excited to see some of the new guys. See Blaze Gunnarsson finally play. See Cam Lenhart play. But you look at the offense. There's some familiarity on the offensive guys, but I'm excited to see what they're going to do with Jeff Sims. Are they going to utilize him in the QB run game? Obviously, he's going to scramble in passing situations, but are they going to have design runs for him? Is it or an RPO situation? I'm excited to see what Gabe Urban's going to do in the running back room. I'm excited to see, the depth of that running back room as well. Ramir Johnson, Anthony Grant, So I think that's going to be fun to watch. I'm going to see Thomas Fedoni finally play and see what we know he can play too. And I'm excited to see, Billy Kemp, what he's able to bring to the table from the special teams wise. So there's a lot of things I'm excited to see. You can look at it from a micro or a macro type of situation. And I think, micro wise, it's seeing all these new players, new faces, and how they handle the new schemes and handle tough situations with Rule. But I'm just finally excited to see this team play after all the, you don't want to call it bad football or just inconsistent football. I'm ready to turn a new page and start seeing better, more consistent football going forward under Coach Rule.
Jay, enjoy the ball game tonight. We'll get caught up next week as we get ready for the Buffs and get your recap on the Gophers. Thanks for a few minutes today, bud.
Yep, always. Thanks, guys.
Hey, I'm Andy. If you don't know me, it's probably because I'm not famous. But I did start a men's grooming company called Harry's. The idea for Harry's came out of a frustrating experience I had buying razor blades. Most brands were overpriced, overdesigned, and out of touch. At Harry's, our approach is simple. Here's our secret. We make sharp, durable blades and sell them at honest prices for as low as $2 each. We care about quality so much that we do some crazy things, like buy a world-class German blade factory. Obsessing over every detail means we're confident in offering a 100% quality guarantee. Millions of guys have already made the switch to Harry's, so thank you if you're one of them. And if you're not, we hope you give us a try with this special offer. Get a Harry starter set with a 5-blade razor, weighted handle, shave gel, and a travel cover, all for just $3 plus free shipping. Just go to harrys.com and enter code MODERN at checkout. That's harrys.com, code MODERN. Enjoy.
When you choose new flooring, you don't want to wait for weeks or months to enjoy it. You want it installed right away. Hi, Steve Carper from O Street Carpet. We hear stories every day about long waits and installation charges way higher than necessary. When you choose O Street Carpet, we'll measure free, install right away, and at a much better price. Stop in, shop now. Proud to be Lincoln's choice for nearly 50 years.
O Street Carpet.
1732 O Street and ostreetcarpet.com.
Go to bestoflincoln.net and vote Eustace Body Shop Lincoln's favorite. Eustace Body Shop at 86 and Nebraska Parkway is trustworthy, efficient, and certified. It's where their customers send their friends. This is Carol Turner. See me at Eustace Body Shop right now on KFOR's Facebook page.
Severe weather in Nebraska could be a matter of seconds between life and death. Before, during, and after, you can count on KFOR's Operation Stormwatch. Life-saving information powered by Golden Rule Contractors and Lincoln's KFOR.
We all hear the radio ads about the IRS. They tell you to be afraid, to be scared, and they try to frighten you into calling. I'm not here to do that. Tax Relief Advocates is different. TRA is here to tell you that if you owe money to the IRS, whether it's $5,000, $50,000, or $500,000, we have a solution. It doesn't matter if you're sitting in your car, at work, or with your kids. No matter where you are, call now. 800-583-2668. Don't lose hope. TRA can eliminate or reduce what you owe to the IRS. There is zero risk to you. If we can't reduce your tax debt, then you pay nothing. Our passion is taxes and helping individuals fix their IRS problems. We have a 5-star rating on Google and Yelp and an A+ with the Better Business Bureau.
And now, back to Hail Varsity Radio.
It's Hail Varsity Radio Road Show here at the Graduate in Minneapolis. We are, again, that option pitch away from the stadium. That's how close we are. We invite you to come on by if you're streaming us and do so in a couple of 3 different ways. You can always check out the Hail Varsity YouTube channel. Can always find Hail Varsity Radio on Twitter at HVarsity Radio. And, of course, KFOR Facebook and Twitter. Real Red Reaction commences tonight. We deep into the wee hours, potentially, as Will Wilson, Bill Hooks, Elijah Herbal, myself. I'll be trucking back across a busy street. And hopefully, if you're a Nebraska fan, a flooded street of red, wearing big red, just joyous people that have seen a road win for the first time in a long time. Last time Nebraska won here in Minneapolis, Searles was on the sideline, not playing, but was in the NFL for the Vikings, and Mike Riley and Terrell Newby went off on the Gophers. It's been a long time. I think that was 2016, 2015, maybe.
2015, I think.
2015. So we're working on 8 years.
So
we are working on 8 years.
For reference, that was Elijah Herbal's junior year of high school.
As he was trying to grow that mustache you see right now that gets him, well, some applause and some weird looks. Let's talk personal injury. Let's talk Dyer Law. If you've been hurt in a personal injury accident, you can count on the Dyer Law team to provide you with the helping hand when you need it. No matter what you're doing, you can give Dyer Law a phone call today at 402-393-7529 or visit Dyer Law online, Dyer.law. Chat with the trusted professionals, the legal experts, about your personal injury. That's Dyer.law, 402-393-7529. So,
Schmitty, while we're talking personal injury here, a new unique part of the Big Ten this year, we're about, I think, 4 minutes away from the availability report from both teams to see who's going to be a go tonight and who won't be. So Nebraska now, according to Big Ten bylaws, will be required to release that. A couple names that I'm watching for. First and foremost, that wide receiver room is Marcus Washington with the knee he's been nursing through fall camp. Is he going to be a go tonight? Even if he is a go, we don't know how adjusted and ready to go he's going to be with this offense, but that's a name to watch. Another one, Nick Henrich, didn't get the black shirt earlier this week. He's been nursing an injury as well through about the last week to week and a half. So we're going to see if he's a go or not. That's a big blow to the Husker defense. If one of the most experienced guys you have is not going to be able to go tonight, at least in some sort of limited capacity. So those are the two names I'm watching for. And I guess we can probably throw Teddy Prohaska in there as well, but I don't think he's going to be playing either way. But it will be interesting to see if he's suited up.
If you see Marcus Washington, you'll see him in the second half. I will say that. Henrich is somebody that I think he'll give it a go.
Yeah, he's a gamer.
What's his ability like? How compromised is he with an ankle? That's the question mark right there. And yeah, with Teddy, you pray that you don't need Teddy if he isn't ready. Okay, you want Turner and Benhart. Hey, what kind of night does Bryce Benhart have? Right, home state. Is he ready to take a leap? Hour 2. Gary Barnett kicks us off. Hail Varsity live here at the Graduate.
Trust is a foundation of any strong relationship. It's earned every day.
At 1011, it's the way we cover the community we call home.
Working hard to fact check, verify, and get the story right.
It means alerting you first to severe weather and preparing for what's ahead.
It's telling the stories that bring us together and make us proud to be Nebraskans.
Trust Cole Miller, Medicine Pitch, Chief Meteorologist Ken Shumick, and Sports Director Kevin Suits. The most watched, the most trusted. That's 1011.
It's the Salt Dogs' last homestand and final regular season game Thursday, August 31st at 4:05. Catch the 4:05 game and get $2 off Pepsi products and $3 select tall boys on the last Thirsty Thursday. Tickets at saltdogs.com.
Now at Menards, save big money on your next project with 11% off everything. Upgrade your home with new outlets from Legrand, including new USB outlets. Charge more of your devices without the need for bulky AC adapters. Pick up a USB outlet today for just $32.92 after 11% rebate. Good through September 4th. Savings are a mail-in rebate. Some exclusions apply. See store for details.
Save big money at Menards.
Our sense of smell can tell us a lot. Fresh baked apple pie, good. Cigarette smoke, bad. But what happens when bad things smell good? When secondhand vape smells like strawberries or mangoes or cotton candy and dangerous chemicals have a disguise. That's when people let their guard down around secondhand smoke, even though it's all full of harmful chemicals.
Paid for by Tobacco Free Nebraska. Aired with the Nebraska Broadcasters Association and this station.
Nebraskans love the great outdoors. Hi, I'm Jeff.
And I'm Hershey. We bring you the inside scoop with pros from the Nebraska Game and Park.
On Outdoor Nebraska every Saturday morning at 9:45 here on KFOR 1240 AM.
And 101.5 FM.
This is your station for local news, talk, sports, and weather. FM 101.5, 1240 AM, KFOR, Lincoln.
From ABC News, I'm Chuck Severson. Two manhunts about 3,000 miles apart for described dangerous men able to bust out of custody. In eastern Pennsylvania, a convicted killer escaped the Chester County Prison. Daniello Cavalcante, sentenced to life, convicted of fatally stabbing his former girlfriend in front of her children. DA Deb Ryan.
If you see this defendant, we are asking you do not approach him. It is extremely important that you do not go near him. We're asking you to call 911 if you have any sightings.
In Oregon, an accused criminal chained from hands to feet stole a van and scrammed.
Christopher Lee Prey was in custody for a list of serious charges, including attempted aggravated murder. He was at the Oregon State Hospital getting treatment this week when Oregon State Police say he was able to escape, stealing a white Dodge Caravan and taking off south on Interstate 5. There was a chase, but it got called off because it was too dangerous. Prey got away. His whereabouts are unknown. He was last seen leaving Salem, Oregon. He has ties to Portland. When he escaped, he had full leg shackles on, a belly chain, and handcuffs all chained together. Alex Stone, ABC News.
What was Hurricane Idalia is now degraded further, moving farther out to sea. President Biden says he'll travel to Florida Saturday. Homeland Security Advisor Elizabeth Sherwood Randall.
We won't know the full extent of the damage done for several days.
Hours after entering a plea of not guilty in the Georgia election interference case, former President Trump has filed a motion to sever his case from other defendants who requested a speedy trial. At least 74 dead after a nighttime fire ripped through a rundown apartment building, mainly occupied by homeless people and squatters in Johannesburg, South Africa. City Manager Floyd Brink.
We will do our best to ensure that we act diligently in investigating the fire and equally in our pursuit to reclaim the hijacked and illegally occupied buildings in the city.
You're listening to ABC News.
When my daughter gets a cold, I have a secret weapon. DayQuil Kids Berry from Vicks. DayQuil Kids is specially formulated to treat kids' most bothersome cold and cough symptoms quickly. And the best part is that DayQuil Kids Berry tastes really great. Aren't you supposed to be resting? Maybe.
DayQuil Kids Berry. The Kids Berrylicious daytime congestion, coughing, stuffy head, stuffy nose, just for kids. Medicine. Safe for kids 6 years plus.
You wash your hands, you brush your teeth, but how do you clean your nose? With Navage. Navage uses powered suction to pull saline in one nostril, around the back of the nose, and out the other nostril, flushing out allergens, mucus, and germs. And it's why cleaning your nose, the body's air filter, is the next evolution in daily personal hygiene. Navage helps you breathe better, sleep deeper, and snore less. But the biggest payoff is improved health. At Walmart, Walgreens, CVS, Rite Aid, Target, and online. Navage, N-A-V-A-G-E. Clean nose, healthy life.
Hello, I'm Will Wilson, KFOR News. It's 86 degrees in Lincoln. Volleyball Day in Nebraska on Wednesday brought out a world record crowd of 92,003 people to Memorial Stadium and has caused a massive buzz nationwide. Visit Lincoln Executive Director Jeff Mall tells KFOR News with the money that came into Lincoln, it would equate to a Husker football game day, which typically has an economic impact around $6 million.
I think that number was pushed even higher just based on the energy and the enthusiasm and the ability to break a world record.
Mall adds this kind of exposure has certainly put Lincoln on the map. He says this is something that you dream about with tourism. While a world record was set Wednesday night at Memorial Stadium, another attendance record was set from last weekend's Guardians of Freedom Air Show at the Lincoln Airport. According to the Lincoln Chamber of Commerce, more than 340,000 people attended the two-day event, making it the largest attendance at a spectator event in Lincoln's history. The previous mark was 250,000 set for the Guardians of Freedom Air Show at the Lincoln Airport in 2011. News about the man who drove an old modified police car to Norfolk Wednesday morning with his bull-riding shotgun has created a buzz on social media. Several callers to the Norfolk Police Department indicated there was a car coming into town and from west on Highway 275 with a cow in it. Lee Meyer of Neely had bought the car several years back and modified it to have his bull Howdy Doody ride in it. He's entered it into some local parades in northern Nebraska, according to his sister, Vera Watson. She tells KFOR News she's seen Meyer in Howdy in a parade one time.
I remember the reaction from the person doing the play-by-play, if you want, of the parade. Oh my gosh, it's real!
Howdy remains calm while riding in the car, according to Watson. Watson says Meyer has won numerous awards from parades he's entered. As for what happened on Wednesday in Norfolk, Meyer received a warning and was told to take Howdy back home. No one was hurt. This afternoon, sunny skies, going to get to a high of 87. I'm Will Wilson, KFOR News.
This is what we have been waiting for. The hype is over. Kansas City Chiefs football returns to KFOR. Experience every pass from Mahomes.
Mahomes now steps up in the pocket, throws right wide open, back of the end zone. Touchdown!
The catches from Kelsey.
Kelsey's got it. Touchdown! Yeah!
Kansas City.
Every home and away game is heard here on Lincoln's Chiefs football station. FM 101.5, 1240 AM, KFOR.
Keep up with the local news, sports, your favorite talk shows, and pro shows on KFOR wherever you roam. Stream us 24/7 at KFORnow.com or on your mobile. You can download the free iHeart or TuneIn app and stream KFOR on the go.
The following is a paid program. Content is provided by Herd.
The voice of Husker Nation is on the air. This is Hail Varsity Radio. Insight, opinion, expertise, along with the biggest names talking Nebraska sports. Join in with the show at 402-489-1240 or 1-800-825-5865. Now, here are your hosts, Chris Schmidt and Elijah Herbal.
Back into it at Hail Varsity Radio Road Show here in Minneapolis at the Graduate, just ahead Nebraska and Minnesota. We say hi to the Hall of Fame coach, Gary Barnett, with us. And Coach, what an opportunity for both programs. Nebraska tonight against Minnesota. You guys get to take on TCU a little bit later on. How you doing?
Well, I sort of go into my coaching mode now, and that is that there's just we don't have everything done. We're not ready to play yet. We need another day, or we need another 2 days. So I do to get all my stuff ready, and then we get late stuff out of TCU and late stuff out of our own place at CU for information, and so. If fortunately I go to the games and I go to all the practices and get to know the kids and know this and that. But, if you're just doing it off the cuff, you're just doing sports, you're not even getting too deep until tomorrow or later today. So, I mean, it's a cram as you're going through it right now. And you think you have all this time to get ready, and all of a sudden you don't have much time to get ready, and it's not enough time. So it was that same way as coaching. I wanted another day. I wanted 2 more practices. I wanted another meeting, whatever. But then all of a sudden the bell rings, you got to be there, and off you go. So
is there a year you felt more ready than others?
I don't think so. I don't think, because, you have complications. You have guys get sick. You have guys get hurt. You have this or that pop up. All of a sudden compliance says that this guy can't make the trip, or, you just got to be ready for all that sort of stuff. And you just never, ever get all your ducks in a row and everything ready to go so you can just get on the plane or you can just go to the hotel. You're doing something to the last minute in every year and every game.
Gary Barnett with us, Hail Varsity Radio. Coach, I want to get your thoughts on the coaching matchup here in Minneapolis. Why do you think Fleck has been so good and so successful? And then the other side of that, why do you think Coach Rule can be successful?
Well, I think it all comes down to buy-in to the coach's personality, and PJ's got a different way of doing things. I'm not sure anybody else does it quite the way he does, but when you believe in it and you buy into it, then that's 50% of the battle for you as a coach, is to get buy-in. And so he's got guys there that buy into what he's doing and in his system and his way of doing his culture. So Coach Rule will be the same way. If he gets buy-in to his culture, then they'll do just fine. I mean, it'll still be a battle every week, and you're still going to win and lose games you didn't think you'd win or lose. But that's just comes along with it. But it's a lot easier to do if there's 80 of you, including your coaches, that are all locked arms in what you're trying to get done, and everybody understands it. So Coach Rule will be successful if he gets buy-in. And you don't get buy-in usually right away in the first year. It just doesn't happen. But especially if you're taking over a program, unless you're a Dion. And then if you're Dion, you've replaced everybody, and the guys that are coming in are either buying in or they're not going to be there long either. So you can sort of create that now where you couldn't before.
Coach, I want to talk about some numbers with Minnesota. They're great on third down, that situational football, defensively and offensively. They have been anyway, but it's going to be a different Minnesota just because of some personnel changes. I want to talk about Nebraska for a moment and what their strength could be this year, and that's that up the middle on the offensive line with Scott coming in from Arizona State and both guards, and I think that's where Nebraska can be real nice running the football or better. What's a fair goal? You live the Big Ten life. You know what it takes to win running the football. Nebraska wants to be a fourth quarter team, and Coach Rule's talked about, when does that happen? Body blows to get to the fourth and then wear somebody out, that physical mentality. What's a good goal rushing wise for Nebraska, because it's been so sporadic, or it was always on Adrian's back for so many years. Get your rushing somehow, and it ended up being the quarterback.
Well, rushing goals sort of changed through the years with different offenses and different defensive systems. But Chris, always understand that your team will take on the personality of your offensive line. And there's no other group that represents your team like the offensive line does. Occasionally the defensive line will, but for the most part, it's your offensive line. And if you're solid physically from tackle to tackle or tight end to tight end, however you're playing, and they have a mindset, and they know that team depends on their success, depends on what that offensive line group does, and they buy into that, and they take great pride in taking on that sort of flag. That's what great teams do, and that's what good teams do. And so when Coach Rule can get to the situation, and he may be there now, where his offensive line takes control of the personality of that football team, then you can set the goal, and I think that's always important, and everybody wants to do that. But it's just when they take control of the locker room, they take on the personality. The team takes on the personality of them. That's when you got things rolling. And it goes. I can go back to when I remember. I hate to bring this up to you, but when we had.
I know
but I will anyway.
Know where you're going.
I will anyway. Yeah. Everybody can turn their radio down now if you're listening. But when I heard the coaches from Nebraska say we had to change our practice because Colorado was so physical, when you get somebody to change their practice because that other team is so physical, then you're in their head and you've got a chance. You've got a real chance. And so that's where you want an offensive line like Nebraska could have or has had in the past. Everybody worried about the offensive line through the years. Worried meaning you're going to have to play Nebraska's offensive line. So when you get to that point, then you can do a lot of things. I don't care if it's run or throw.
Gary Barnett with us, Hail Varsity Radio. Coach, we've got to be patient for Nebraska-Colorado week. Some work to be done for Nebraska and Colorado to kick off. Two really good opponents. Minnesota. Nebraska has not beaten Minnesota since 2018. TCU, your national champion game participant. And then we'll get into the Buff Husker talk. But it's looming, and there's excitement for it. And I wanted to get your take on just where you think Nebraska and Minnesota are at right now. I want to get into some of the picks, and how do you see this thing shaking out? The lines kind of dropped a little bit, Coach, to 6.5. Over-unders right around 43. I think it's a tight ball game. I think it's a low-scoring ball game. What do you see?
Yeah, I sort of see it the same way. I don't think it's going to be a high-scoring game, and I think both of them are going to rely on physicality of their offensive line and hopefully their defensive line. Whoever has it in the defensive line will probably win this game. And so you're dealing with a culture that's in place that's at Minnesota that's has won a lot of football games with PJ. And those players believe in him. They had half the work to do going into fall camp or through fall camp that Nebraska did because they're all new and those sort of things. But I think 6.5 is about right. I think this is a close game. I think that over-under is about right. And I think what looks like to me or sounds like to me, Nebraska's going to try to be physical and run the football. And, it sort of sounds like old-time Big Ten football.
We'll see if it can be done. And both teams want to do that. What type of ace can this system be for Nebraska defensively with Tony White?
Well, I don't know. I think nobody. I don't think Tony knows, and I think that you're going to find out tonight. And I think everybody. That's a great thing about the sport is you can't answer those questions before. You got to wait and see, and then everybody, all the pundits will talk about whether it was good or bad. But you just got to wait and see, play the game out, and enjoy it. Enjoy watching it play out.
We will. Let's do some rapid fire. Florida is at Utah. That also kicks off tonight, Coach. That was a heck of a ball game last year.
That was a great game, wasn't it? Utah led all the way, and then Florida comes back and wins the doggone thing. And I think the point spread's about the same as your point spread, 6.5 with Utah. Mm-hmm. I like Utah. Florida guys going to play out there in that altitude. I like Utah. Utah's a physical team. Cam Rising gets it done. I like Utah.
Utah's super talented. North Carolina, South Carolina, the border war saw that Coach Mack turned 73, I think, this week. And right now, Carolina minus 2.5. North Carolina.
Well, yeah. Which one? North. The quarterback's the difference in that game. And you got two good ones, Spencer Rattler and Drake May. All the hype about Drake May. Let's see if it's real. In South Carolina, which is an up-and-coming program. They did some great things at the end of the year last year. They've got recruited well. Beamer's done a good job there. But, I think North Carolina, 2.5, I think they're better than that in this game. But this is a rivalry game played on the first weekend, and anything can happen. And like I said, all the things that have to take place before that first kickoff, you hope you've got them done. If you don't have them done, the other team's going to win, basically.
Let's get to Sunday. LSU, Florida State. This thing was big time last year as well. And I think the Noles got a nice bounce a year ago. LSU, though, recovered and had a great finish to the year. Right around 2.5 right now, LSU.
Yeah, I like LSU. I like Brian Kelly. He's not the most popular guy, but using a Southern adopted Southern speaking style. Uh-huh. But I like LSU. I think they're loaded, and I think they win this game by at least the spread. I'm saying by 7.
All right. How do I'm not asking you to pick Colorado outright, but how do the guys fare game 1 for Coach Prime?
Depends on who's available to play. They everything's been kept a secret. If they, it's going to be 106 at game time, which means on that artificial surface, it's going to be about 120 to 125. And they're going to have to play 2 sets of offensive linemen, 2 sets of defensive linemen. And I don't know if they're deep enough in either one of those 2 positions to stand up and win the game. Mm-hmm. But I think that's the real test is can either one of those defensive lines, if both of them can play well enough, then Colorado's going to have a chance because they've got the skill and if all their skilled players are available. So, but this is also this is not a sprint. This metamorphosis at CU, it's a marathon, and it's going to take more than one game to determine where this team's going to end up.
Absolutely agree, and that's kind of the view of Nebraska this season and Coach Rule. Coach Gary Barnett with us. Coach, last thought, Dion talked a lot about mental health, got after the NCAA this week. I know there's been frustration from Coach Rule with a waiver. and there's been a lot of denials. And I know as a coach, your number one concern was the welfare of your kids, the kids you recruited in, and it's pretty prevalent in today with just the talking points about mental health, and the actions are being questioned now by a lot of coaches towards the NCAA. Do you have a reaction at all?
Well, you can't have it both ways. You can't want the portal to you can't sit there and say the portal's killing us. We've got to be able to stop it where you can only transfer once. And then have the NCAA say, okay, we're going to enforce that. And then when they enforce it, say, well, you can't enforce it because of these reasons for certain situations. Everybody knows that mental health is something you cannot pick on. You can't go there. The minute you do, then you're an ogre. You don't have any thoughtfulness for other people, and so you got to draw the line somewhere. And I think the NCAA did. There's been a number of waivers. Actually, I think every waiver that's been attempted since they made that decision has been denied. We've got one here, and it's all Deion's playing it out for mental health, and all that's true. But if that's really true, then Deion's going to get that young man all the help he can get within the university and even outside, and continue to help him get better. It shouldn't necessarily fall on whether he gets to play football or not.
Yeah. Coach, thanks for your perspective on that. Enjoy Fort Worth, all right?
I'll try. Thanks, Chris.
There he is, Barney. Coach Gary Barnett, Hail Varsity Radio. Good thoughts on Nebraska and specifically the personality of your team taking on what your offensive line's all about. Who's out, who's in? Injuries up next.
When we launched Hail Varsity Club, we merged the digital world of sports media with the physical space for fans. With the addition of Hurrdat Sports to our family, we've broadened our reach, bringing fresh, modern storytelling to Nebraska high school, college, and professional sports. As we continue to grow, we're taking the next step.
Welcome to the Hurrdat Sports Bar and Grill. We're keeping everything you loved about Hail Varsity Club and adding even more. We're thrilled to invite you to the grand opening of Hurrdat Sports Bar and Grill on August 28th. Hurrdat Sports Bar and Grill, where the game is always on.
Vote now and make your opinion really count for you, your friends, and all of Lincoln. Whether you're eating at a restaurant, dealing with your car, or looking to buy something, Lincoln wants to know where they should go. That's where you come in. It's make or break time with the final vote on the official Best of Lincoln. Take just a few seconds and you can choose the Best of Lincoln from the top nominations. The 2023 Best of Lincoln final vote is happening now through August 31st. Go to KFORnow.com and vote.
These bills are crazy. Those bills are crazy. If she only knew she's actually sitting on a gold mine. She has no idea that if she owns a life insurance policy of $100,000 or more, she may be able to sell all or part of it to Coventry for cash, even a term policy.
Even a term policy?
Yep, even a term policy. That's right. You may be able to sell all or part of your life insurance policy to Coventry for cash, or a combination of cash and coverage with no future premiums, even a term policy. Call Coventry Direct at 800-310-5600 or visit CoventryDirect.com. That's 800-310-5600. For over 25 years, we've helped thousands of people sell their policies, and we can probably help you too. Call Coventry Direct at 800-310-5600 or visit CoventryDirect.com to find out if you're sitting on a gold mine. That's 800-310-5600. Call today.
Cashback is not available on gas in New Jersey and Wisconsin.
Susan, I'm sorry I'm late. Traffic is terrible.
It sure is. But on top of that, gas prices have been skyrocketing. I can't believe how expensive gas has gotten recently.
Prices at the pump are up, but I never pay full price for gas anymore. I just use the free Upside app that pays you cash back for every gallon of gas you buy.
Wait a minute. Are you saying you actually get paid cash when you buy gas with the Upside app?
Yes, I get real cash back every time I buy gas.
And does that actually add up to anything?
I've made around $200
Wow, that's serious extra cash. I'm downloading the free Upside app now.
Download the free Upside app to earn real cash back every time you buy gas. Use promo code AUTO for an extra 25 cents per gallon cash back on your first fill up. You can cash out anytime right to your bank account, to PayPal, or an e-gift card for Amazon and other brands. Just And now, back to Hail Varsity Radio.
Thanks for hanging out. It's Hail Varsity Radio Road Show here in Minneapolis at the Graduate, the first of back-to-back road shows for us. We take Minneapolis on, Real Red Reaction tonight at 10 p.m. or whenever this ball game gets done. So join us and do so on KFOR Facebook and Twitter. The Hail Varsity YouTube channel as well. And, of course, the Hail Varsity Radio and KFOR Twitters at HVarsity Radio. Chris Schmidt, Elijah Herbal. Give us a find on Twitter, too, at Schmidt_radio, at Herbal Essence on Twitter for Elijah. Kranak is 3 beers deep, which is impressive. We have a lot to get into. Clauseborne, he's imaginary, and he wears red, coming up in about 15 minutes.
So are you saying Kranak is not going to be joining us now that he's 3 beers deep?
No, I don't know where he's at.
That was just a fun fact. Okay.
There's just a sea of red here in the lobby of the Graduate. We're just a option pitch away from Minnesota's stadium. We'll hear from Joel Klatt in a little bit. We have some over-unders, some props to talk as well. And Elijah, we do have some official information for Nebraska when it comes to the dreaded injury report. Nick Henrich out, dealing with an ankle. He is not going to go tonight. Jamari Butler is dealing with a shoulder. That's what we're told anyway. Mm-hmm. So he is out. PJ Fleck left half his roster on the out part. And you've got Ottman Bell, who's been in college longer than Tommy Boy, 7 years. They're called doctors. Thank COVID. He is listed as out. So I don't know if it's gamesmanship or if you can. I don't know if you can fudge on that or not. Is there fines and suspensions if you lie to the Big Ten people about injuries?
Yes, actually, that was included in the release last week. That if there is any sort
of you reading all the way down to the bottom of the page.
Yeah, that there will be punishment. But the bigger one to know, I think, Chris Ottman Bell, you're questionable. You're going to be a go. You're the 7th-year wide receiver, maybe a little bit limited in his role. He's going to be a go. I think the most important one though is Corey Lindenberg. He was the starting inside linebacker for Minnesota.
Led him in tackles.
Second in the team in tackles, actually. Second in the team in tackles last year.
So he's the leading tackler returning.
Yes, leading tackler returning. He is listed as out for tonight. And one more thing that I have heard here on a Thursday afternoon. We talked about Marcus Washington at the end of last segment. I have heard he is suiting up for tonight, but he is not expected to be a part of the game plan as he missed almost all of fall camp. So maybe a break in case of emergency situation for Marcus Washington. Say it's a late ball game, you need a couple scores. Maybe then you go dust off Marcus Washington. But I have heard not expected to be a part of the game plan for Nebraska tonight.
If you see Marcus Washington, you see Marcus Washington in the second half.
I think that is a fair way to put it, Schmitty.
Yeah. Get your tea leaves out. Okay. Eat Beef says Claus is a case deep. I hope not. We need Claus coherent and lovely. What does Joel Klatt think, Elijah? What does he think about Nebraska, Minnesota tonight? And specifically, as we, because Klatt, old Jolster's on the call tonight, friend of the show. What does it look like for Nebraska? We all wonder that. I think we know what Nebraska wants it to look like, but will it? Here's Joel Klatt.
So Thursday night, what are we going to see? Well, from Nebraska, I don't quite know. There are some holes in this roster. There are. And then there's some really intriguing parts to this roster, namely their quarterback, Jeff Sims. Jeff Sims transfers from Georgia Tech. Very athletic player, by the way. First off the bus type of guy. I love it when I talk with coaches because they'll use that terminology quite a bit. They're like, oh, yeah, he's the one that we want first off the bus. What does that mean? He looks like an Adonis. Okay, so Jeff Sims is 6'4", 220. you want him off the bus first. He's going to be a physically imposing player. Now, at Georgia Tech, he completed somewhere in that kind of 50% range. That needs to increase. It needs to get better. Should it? Probably. Although I will say that their wide receiver core is the one area that this team is lacking a little bit. That's the position that I think that they need to address the quickest. They're decent up front. They've got some experience up front. Turner Cochran is back. Ben Scott played a lot at Arizona State. He transfers in. Bryce Benhart, he's played a lot for them. So, there's guys up front, and I do think that they're going to be able to run the football.
Joel Klatt right there. He's betting on Nebraska being able to run the football. Your difference maker tonight, if you get better offense than we think, Elijah, is going to be Sims. Let's get into some props with Nebraska. And I love these over-unders. Some of these are from Vegas. Some of these are the Elijah Herbal prop. So let's start with Sims. And it's over-under, 10.5 rushing attempts. Elijah, I'm going to jump into the pool. My bathing suit is on, and I'm going to say over. I think Sims at minimum has 12 carries tonight. Some designed, some not. I think he combines for at least 12.
I think the difference here, designed rushing plays, I think is going to be under that 10.5 number. The question to me, how many times does Sims break, contain, and scramble? And then also, how many times does Sims get sacked tonight? Because if you remember in college football,
that counts as a rush.
It counts
Look
as a
at
rush.
you. You're just coming off the
rush.
top rope. Come on, let's give the tackles. I'm kidding. The tackles have a shot to improve, right? But you're right. That is real. It is a rushing attempt. Man, it's tackle on tackle crime right there. For
that reason, if we're talking designed rushing plays, and I'll even throw scrambles in there, I'm going to go under 10.5. Sacks is the X factor. I don't think Sims gets sacked more than 2 times with his maneuverability in the pocket. So I'm going to lay the under, but barely. I think he's somewhere in that 9 to 10 rushing attempts tonight.
How about yards, rushing yards? 45 rushing, 45.5 rushing yards. I think if Nebraska wins tonight, Sims is going to have to be a dude total offense-wise. He's going to have to carry it 12 times or more, and I think he's going to have to be close to 100.
In Sims' 7 starts last year, he went over that number 3 times. Twice of those times was solidly over 81 yards and 95 yards. I'm going to say if Sims is your X factor, he's going to go over that. And if we're on my 9 to 10 rushing attempts for over 45 yards, talking somewhere in 5 to 6 yards a rush, I think that's a healthy number for Jeff Sims. So I'm going to go over.
180 passing yards for Jeff Sims. He needs to be around 200. He needs to be around 200. And if Nebraska can control the football with him carrying it 12 times, you figure the running back room is going to get another 30 combined carries somehow, some way. Sims needs to be right around 185, 190, and it's got to be a 15 for 20. And if Nebraska's living right, there's minimal third down pass attempts. There just is. And be 50% on those. I'm asking for a hell of a lot.
And it should be noted, this is one of the ones I actually got directly from Vegas. So Vegas says 180.5 passing yards for Jeff Sims is your over-under. With the wide receiver room and with how Nebraska might try to control possession in this game, I might lean under. And it should be noted, Jeff Sims was over that number only 2 times last year. It's a different Georgia Tech offense, but I'm going to go barely under that number, somewhere in the 165 to 175 yards for Sims tonight. And if that is the number for Sims, I think that means Nebraska is probably playing with a lead in the fourth quarter. If not, probably going to get over that 180 number just based on how many times he's going to have to drop back and throw.
Here's a sneaky number, and it's not on the Elijah Herbal board. How many touches for Ramir Johnson? If you're down at wide receiver, if you've got Borkature that's really about it proven-wise, not that Fidoni's not a nice talent, but Ramir's your third down guy, and he's a tough-as-hell runner. Don't you just kind of feed him the football any way possible? Check down between the tackles, however you want to go, some screen passes?
Set the number, and I'll give you an over-under. Make sure it's a half number, too. Make sure there's no pushes on this one.
Let's say 12.5 total touches for Ramir.
I'll go under. I have it somewhere in the 5 to 8 range for Rahmir. I do think he's going to be a good receiving option. I don't think that there's going to be many designed rushing attempts for Rahmir Johnson tonight, though. I do believe that is
really
Grant and Irvin, despite the fact that Grant is third on the depth chart. I think Rahmir Johnson might get more snaps. I think Anthony Grant might get more touches.
I'm going to go over. I think you're going to see about 5 to 7 carries from Rahmir, and I think he could have, 5 catches. I think he'll be right there. I think he'll be right there, right around 10 to 12. Elijah, do you like anything on time of possession?
This is an interesting one to me. I couldn't find this one in Vegas. This would be a weird one to bet, but I do think it's going to be one of your stories for the game tonight. Can Nebraska win time of possession? Minnesota, when they lose time of possession, sub 500. So there's your interesting number. If Nebraska is, in fact, winning the time of possession,
thank you so much.
History would tell you that they are going to win this game tonight. I have the total time of possession for Nebraska set at 27-30, and I don't know which way to lean on this one, Schmitty. This is the X factor for me. If Nebraska wins time of possession, I just kind of laid it out. I think they win this football game. So if you go over 27 minutes and 30 seconds, I think that's your biggest indicator for a Nebraska win. But this is one that I am scared of. If I was a betting man and I was actually betting this, I wouldn't touch this number with a 10-foot pole because I just don't know.
That's all right. I think it's going to be even. I mean, both teams are just going to want to hand it off, burn clock, hand it off, burn clock. And if we got to kick it, so be it. That's going to be both coaching staffs thinking. I think Nebraska, if they win, you're 1,000% right. Nebraska has time of possession advantage, and it is all about their downs. Are you in 3rd and 5 to 7 or worse? Are you in 3rd and 3? And can that middle of the offensive line go early and often to move the pile? Mike Roth has chimed in a lot to the weekend edition and the show on the Stream Hail Varsity YouTube channel for sure. He just popped by to say hi. Mike's got a glorious white cowboy hat, like No Country for Old Men. Cowboy white hat, right? It's sweet. And if I'm Coach Prime, I'm calling listener Mike and saying, "Where'd you get that hat?" I'm serious.
I love it.
It is so good.
One last prop before we get out of here. Turnover differential. I think along with time possession, this is going to be huge.
Better be even, baby. You better be even if you want to win this.
Let's go. Over, under, or exactly 0 for the turnover differential from Nebraska's point of view. I'll go under. I think, I hate to say it, I think Nebraska -1 in the turnovers. I think they probably get a takeaway. I think they probably turn it over two times.
Brett emails in, Chris@HailVarsity.com. You are the worst odds maker ever.
Am I?
No, he's saying that to me.
Oh yeah, with the Rahmir one, that was a little inflated, I thought.
Okay, we'll see. We'll be here for Real Red Reaction, 10 p.m. Coming up, the infamous Clauseborne with the forecast next.
Hi, this is Michael Dixon, voice of the Lincoln Salt Dogs. Join me for the play-by-play action this season on KFOR FM 101.5, 1240 AM, and online at KFORnow.com.
I was crossing the street when I met the love of my life. I chased after her. Nothing would stand in my way. Not the dog walker, nor the hot dog vendor. Finally reaching her, I asked, "What do you call that amazing smell?"
It's Gain Flings.
Gain Flings. My love had a name, but more importantly, it had a scent.
Fall in love with Gain Flings. Seriously good scent. Gain Flings with 50% more freshness ingredients versus leading bargain detergent.
Wake up, people. You're optimizing every waking hour of your life. From carpooling kids, to work, to friends, and everything in between. You have to get sleep. And a bed that can perform as well as you do. Meet the next generation Sleep Number Smart Bed. It effortlessly adjusts to your shape, position, and movements. Learning how you sleep, so you learn to sleep better. Night after night. Sleep next level. Only from Sleep Number. Don't miss our Labor Day special. Save 50% on the Sleep Number Limited Edition Smart Bed. Plus free delivery when you add a base. Ends Labor Day.
When you can't stop, there's Vicks VapoRub. Vicks VapoRub sends powerful medicated Vicks vapors right to the source of your, so you can experience cough relief and breathe easier.
Generations of families have trusted Vicks VapoRub to help relieve the worst cold symptoms. So next time you have a cough, reach for the Vicks VapoRub. Vicks VapoRub. Cough relieving is believing.
Time to say hi to Deb, the spa lady, Home Innovation Spas. Deb, it is fair time, and that means the price is right.
It is right. And we're out at the Nebraska State Fair in Grand Island. This is our 33rd year at the fairs. That's a lot of corn dogs in those years. But we're doing great deals. As always, everybody waits till the state fair to buy a hot tub because they know our prices are the best. We've got a display inside. We have a display outside. So we've got something for everyone, anywhere from the little 2-person up to the big swim spas. And we've got the chili goat, the cold bath, the cold tub that you can sit in, and it relieves inflammation. It boosts your immune system. It's great for everything.
Deb, how can folks find you?
At the fair. They can also go to our stores, both in Lincoln and Omaha. We'll be running the same state fair specials. You could also go to our website and ask any questions you might have, online.com.
Coming up on a Husker Homer Friday on the Morning Hookup from 10 to 11, we will recap Nebraska.
And now,
back to Hail Varsity Radio.
Thanks for hanging out. It's Hail Varsity Radio. We are on the road here at the Graduate in Minneapolis. Game time coming up at 7. We will wind down the Thursday Roadshow edition. Many thanks to Sauter Heyman and Lazaris. Junior is slinging pies tonight, so make him work. Put Junior to work with your friends at Lazaris. And, hey, it has been all sorts of fun talking to so many listeners that made the trip. Doug and Mike and Chris say hello. And Mr. Roth and his glorious cowboy hat. And I mean that respectfully. I don't want to get tuned up. Clauseborne is with us. It is not quite the Friday forecast, but it is a Thursday edition of Prediction Time. Claus, how are we doing today? Nice to get back to football season.
Well, Christopher, I'm doing okay. I'm really glad you decided to bring me out of the dustbin and talk some football, and now you got me excited about pizza. If Lazaris were in Minneapolis, they'd probably make a tater tot and mushroom soup pizza, so maybe we'll try that tonight and get us on to victory.
Let's hear a little music as we get into forecast mode. Claus, are you a little sad you're not in Minnesota because Pearl Jam's here? It's the state fair. It's home. It's a home football game. I would think you were going to be able to hit the road.
Well, Pearl Jam doesn't really do a whole lot for me. I'm a little too old for that. Although I do like that song, Jeremy. That's a pretty good one. I've never heard that Jeremy. In fact, I remember a fellow you had working for you about 15 years ago, a real handsome guy, funny and hilarious, and probably wouldn't be where you are in your career without him. But other than that, I don't know a whole lot about Pearl Jam. And then, of course, the Minnesota State Fair, it's a fun fact. The Minnesota State Fair is the reason why Tinder isn't too popular in Minnesota. Why get a dating app when you can just swipe right into the livestock barn?
Clauseborne is with us for a Thursday forecast. Nebraska, Minnesota, it's Hail Varsity Radio. And Claus, there's a ton to get into with this ball game. What are you anxious about? How do you think it goes?
After the last decade or so, I'm anxious about literally everything. But I think the thing I'm most anxious about is probably the quarterback play. I'm a little nervous about going with our 8th starter in 3 years, it feels like. So hopefully the boys can rally together and get the Minnesota Gophers back on the pond in their little boats.
Well, it's going to be tight, and at least Vegas believes that. It's -7, the over-under -43.5. Would you have made any money last night, Claus, with the over-under Nebraska breaking the world record for attendance at a women's sporting event?
I would have hammered the over all day. And I've seen a lot of people saying things that, well, the only reason Nebraska does things like this and win internet polls and show up 92,000 strong for a volleyball match is because there's nothing else to do. But we've got corn to harvest, and we've got Kool-Aid to drink, and Dorothy Lynch to put on our salads. And, of course, don't forget the Kearney Arch. We can always go to the Arch if we're feeling down. So I knew that we'd be out there to support the girls, and what a fantastic night it was. The entire world is talking about Nebraska for reasons other than Starkweather. So I take that as an absolute win.
Well, Claus, the other talking point today, not only is it volleyball day, but did you see the video of the man in Northeast Nebraska driving down the highway with the bowl in the passenger seat? I was wondering if that's anything you've ever tried to pull off.
Well, I've never put an actual bull in a passenger seat, but there were several times after a night at the Legion Club we had to go get Bob, and I'd imagine there was probably a similar amount of logistics required to get the bull in the passenger seat as there was with Bob.
Yeah, what was the bull's name? Howdy Doody, is that right?
Doody.
Howdy Doody the bull. Let us get to prediction time. Elijah,
Sorry,
you
I
want
just had
to?
a problem with my vape. I'm sorry.
Oh my sweet Lord!
I got free ones, and I don't think they're very good.
Well, free vapes are always better than the alternative.
Oh,
Elijah, you just take us back on the yellow brick road here. What happens? And give me a score.
Oh, sorry, I had to get over the vapes one. That was out of left field. I didn't see it coming. It happens every week with Claus. Okay, back to business here. Okay, Nebraska-Minnesota. I think it's a tough game. I think it's a physical game. I think it's close all the way through. And as we kind of laid out back in the first segment, Schmitty, I think it's an absolute rock fight. So I don't think there's going to be a lot of offense to be had. I think that the defenses are going to be on full display tonight. And I will say, I think it's a new day in Nebraska, volleyball day. You felt the momentum. You feel the momentum with Rule. I believe Rule, whenever he discusses the traits he's been trying to instill within this football team and how they're going to be a fourth quarter team. I think Nebraska gets it done in the fourth. I think it's a breath of fresh air for Nebraska. I think it's a late touchdown, 23-20. Nebraska gets it done.
Dion says Nebraska 267, Minnesota 3. The win, the cover, the overs.
That's a Bill Dolman prediction right there.
It is. Bill Dolman is actually on his way. He is en route for perhaps the Real Red Reaction show. So I got to ask, Claus, it is your turn. It is your time. Give me a prediction. What happens tonight, Nebraska, Minnesota?
Well, first of all, PJ Fleck's thing is all about rowing the boat. And I got to ask, who the heck rows a boat anymore? They've got, unless you're a fitness enthusiast or trying to run from something. You know, they accuse Nebraska fans of living in the past, but we've had outboard motors for almost 100 years now, so I don't know what kind of past they're living in up there. I have to say, boys, I have a lot of confidence in this football program. I like the things Matt Rule is doing, and, of course, we have never failed by having a coach who played on an undefeated team in the mid-1990s. So I'm going to take Nebraska 27 and Minnesota 21.
All right. Claus says 27-21. I am going to go against the grain. One of the comments says too soon on the vape take. I'm going to say it's too soon to win in the fourth quarter. But as our dear friend Brandon Vogel said, this will make you optimistic about the next one. Nebraska, just not enough. And it's a turnover that does it. Gophers 21, Nebraska 17. But Nebraska covers. Nebraska covers. And that's how it happens. Claus, what's for dinner tonight? About 30 seconds before we say goodbye.
Well, I've got a nice almond-crusted northern pike. Feel like I get in real Minnesota fashion there.
All right, little almond crusted pie. Claus, we love you. Thanks for the time.
Okay.
There he goes. Claus joining us.
God, I
the
missed
first of many Friday forecasts. At least we're not talking about Stark weather. Okay, we'll wind down a Thursday pregame on Hail Varsity.
We all hear the radio ads about the IRS. They tell you to be afraid, to be scared, and they try to frighten you into calling. I'm not here to do that. Tax Relief Advocates is different. TRA is here to tell you that if you owe money to the IRS, whether it's $5,000, $50,000, or $500,000, we have a solution. It doesn't matter if you're sitting in your car, at work, or with your kids. No matter where you are, call now. 800-583-2668. Don't lose hope. TRA can eliminate or reduce what you owe to the IRS. There is zero risk to you. If we can't reduce your tax debt, then you pay nothing. Our passion is taxes and helping individuals fix their IRS problems. We have a 5-star rating on Google and Yelp and an A+ with the Better Business Bureau. You don't need to be afraid of the IRS any longer. End your tax nightmare today by visiting us online at tra.com or call 800-583-2668. 800-583-2668. Tax Relief Advocates. Real solutions for real people.
If you're hiring, it can feel like you're trying to find a needle in a haystack. You can hope the right person comes along, or you can just use ZipRecruiter. And now you can try it for free at ZipRecruiter.com/radio. In fact, ZipRecruiter has helped a lot of business owners find their needle in a haystack, like Marco, president of operations at Telly Tires and Auto Centers. Because Telly Tires has grown a lot in the last few years, Marco needed to hire everyone from a receptionist to a store manager to a head mechanic.
ZipRecruiter helps me find all the right people, even the most difficult jobs to fill. ZipRecruiter helps me keep my business running.
Take it from Marco and millions of other businesses who've used ZipRecruiter. ZipRecruiter can help you find the needle in the haystack.
See why 4 out of 5 employers who post a job on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. And right now, you can try ZipRecruiter for free. That's right, free at ZipRecruiter.com/radio. That's ZipRecruiter.com/RADIO. ZipRecruiter.com/radio. ZipRecruiter, the smartest way to hire.
Go to bestoflincoln.net and vote Eustis Body Shop Lincoln's favorite. Eustis Body Shop at 86 and Nebraska Parkway is trustworthy, efficient, and certified. It's where their customers send their friends. This is Carol Turner. See me at Eustis Body Shop right now on KFOR's Facebook page.
This is KFOR's Kathy Blythe inviting you to join Legacy's John Kopetsky and me Saturday mornings for the Aging Adventure, brought to you by Legacy Retirement Communities. Lifestyle and health topics plus fascinating people. The Aging Adventure, 8 a.m. Saturdays on KFOR.
If you or someone you know is having thoughts of suicide or experiencing a mental health or substance use crisis, call 988 for free, confidential, and compassionate support. The National Suicide Prevention Lifeline has a new number, 988. There is hope.
And now,
back to Hail Varsity Radio.
One final time, download the podcast, Spotify, iTunes, Google Play. Hail Varsity Radio can watch the show. Hail Varsity YouTube channel, subscribe to that. The Hail Varsity Radio Twitter feed is there, and the show replay is there. You guys are awesome. Thank you so much for listening. Thanks so much for tuning in on the StreamYard and all of your comments. We tried to get to as many as possible. Keep that same energy, good, bad, or ugly, in about 3.5, 4 hours as Real Red Reaction gets going live here from the Graduate here in Minneapolis. We'll have post-game. We'll still be in Minneapolis tomorrow. Site to be determined, but we'll be here. And also for the Saturday, the weekend edition, still in Minneapolis, as I will get my flannel out and sing along with one Edward Vedder. Elijah, enjoy yourself tonight. Uncle Mark says put some red on. No, I don't have red I can wear on game days, and I can't show up to the press box wearing red. Just can't do it. So I'm sprinting across the street shortly. A ton of Nebraska fans here at the Graduate. Big thanks to Sauter Heyman and Lazaris. God love you both for helping make this road show a reality. Minnesota tonight, Boulder next week. We want to see you out there with your friends at Blur and Big Red of the Rockies and Gary Michaels. So we are loaded up these first 2 weeks. Elijah, a lot of backlash with me calling for a Minnesota win at home in week 1. Apologies. But I don't think I'll be wrong. If I am wrong, well, give me hell and pour some salt tonight around 10 o'clock.
Schmitty, it is our job to take all the information that we have gathered over the past 9 months and make an informed decision. And I truly do believe that based on what
decision is that
based on what I know over the past 9 months and what we've heard about Minnesota, there's a lot of question marks with both teams. They both, I think, have at least want to have an identity that replicates the other. And I think with that in mind, tonight's game truly is a toss-up. It's who is going to be able to make more plays in big-time moments. I think, truthfully, Nebraska, especially on that defensive side of the ball, has more players that can make big-time plays in big-time moments. I think that might be your difference. Somebody's got to step up and make a play. I think Nebraska gets that tonight. Maybe I'll be wrong. Who knows? I guess we'll find out. We'll all find out together. I, truthfully, up until about 24 hours ago, was going to be picking the Gophers in this one. Something about volleyball day in Nebraska and just the mood around Husker Nation swayed my opinion. Is that going to be right? Is that going to be wrong? Well, Schmitty, we're going to know here in about 4 hours.
The pride of Fairbury, Bill Dolman, weighs in, and he says Nebraska football tops Nebraska volleyball. 92,004 to nothing over Minnesota. So Dolman saying Nebraska football scores 92,004 to nothing.
That's a hell of a Bill Dolman prediction. That's a classic.
It is. I like the input. I love the enthusiasm. Kranak, I have not gotten an update how many beers deep he is. We got a vaping and Starkweather reference. If you need that, from Clauseborne about 15 minutes ago. Back for Real Red Reaction after the Nebraska-Minnesota game. Elijah Herbal, Bill Hooks, Will Wilson, Schmitty for your post-game tonight. Thanks for listening. Back at you a little later with Hail Varsity, presented by Currency.